It is Sunday, March the 16th. Welcome to Two Guys, One Cup, an AFL adjacent podcast. My name is Will Anderson.
And my name is Charlie Clausen, and it's been a controversial start to the year. Some would say calamitous, with opening round being interrupted. A lot of discussion.
I liked it. No,
around.
I liked it. I think opening round.
Well, I didn't like it, and that's football media.
Okay.
We've got a show.
Well, I'm the opposite. Right.
Yeah.
This is great. Yeah, let's just disagree with each other.
That's our show called I Don't Agree with That.
I think that every round in the AFL should be disaster round.
Okay.
From now on, the opening round should be disaster round. So every year, whether it be, whether it be a cyclone, a natural weather event, but it doesn't have to be. I'm talking about any, maybe a riot, something goes wrong with one of the stadiums, like just some sort of emergency change of conditions. So when you go into opening round, you're not sure whether you're going to get to play or not. Maybe we kidnap one of the teams, kidnap one of the buses, just drive them out into the middle of the desert or something. There should be an element to opening round that there are 4 games scheduled, but only 2 will be played. Who will play and where
we don't
will they
know,
play?
And we're not saying what teams are going to play either.
No.
So believe it or not, you might have a healthy list 2 weeks out, but what if there's an earthquake?
Oh, yeah. I like the idea of the easing into the season. I know that everybody else is like, oh, this week should have been what it was like last week, and we should have had this big start to the season, and we should have had all these big games that everyone plays at once. And yes, I think they're probably right. In the grand scheme of things, they'll probably go back to doing something more like that, or they'll rejig it in some way. But I don't mind the easing into the season. I feel like I wasn't ready for a full round of football last week. I felt like last week was the foreplay, the wooing, the courtesy finger before the AFL jammed.
I was waiting for it.
You knew it was coming because
I wish
of the
I had a
courtesy
dump
finger.
button. I mean, this doesn't go out live, but I still wish I had a dump button because I knew that was coming.
So, that's the thing you've got to watch out with the courtesy finger is the dump button.
Sometimes colloquially known as the dump button if you touch it in the right way.
So I liked that there was a kind of just a amuse-bouche to the AFL season.
Well, things are back to regular programming, and by that I mean we are recording this before the round is even finished. We didn't even get past round 1. Before schedule conflicts meant that we had to get this out, we had to record. So we currently have the Demons playing the Giants. Very tight tussle in the third quarter. Melbourne are up by 4 points. So we'll keep an eye on that and update you so you can listen to the result 24 hours after it happened. So that's in case.
We'll try to, I think that we will probably know what the result is going to be, or probably we'll just finish recording just before the end of the game, actually.
Well, let's see if our kiss of death extends to a second year.
Okay. What's the score at the moment?
It's Melbourne are 4 points up, 12 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Okay. Melbourne have got this in the bag. Lock it in.
Yeah, I agree. I think home ground advantage.
Betting agencies should pay it out
based
on this 4-point lead in the third quarter.
What a weird round. Blowouts and upsets. That's what they should call this round when they write the history books. None more entertaining or more heartwarming than what happened on Thursday night. I've had a few days to digest this, and look, there's been so much said about it. But you and I were exchanging, because I actually I wasn't watching it live. I was working, and you texted me to say, "Hey, you better switch this game on," and that was sort of halfway through the third. So I'd actually missed the preamble, the setup, the Blues getting out to a 41-point lead. I came in when the Tigers are only 10 points down, and so I saw a very sort of courageous, scrappy win by the Tigers. But then when I read that, they were dead and buried. This game was done by, was it the second quarter? They got 41 points down. Yeah.
41 points down in the game, but could have been 80. It was one of those ones where you were like, if Carlton had kicked straight, they would, and it looked like it was going to be awful. Genuinely, depressingly, oh God, what have Richmond done?
Yeah.
This is going to be one of the most awful seasons of all time. That's what it looked like it was going to be.
And then
It
what
wasn't.
happened, Will?
Spoilers. Spoilers. Well, I was going to go to bed. I honestly, like, I think I said this to you, and then I was like, oh, this is done. I'm just like going to go to, I'm just going to go to bed. And I'd had emergency root canal surgery, tooth surgery that day, and so I was feeling a bit like I had a big swollen face, and I wasn't feeling the best anyway. And I was just laying on the couch watching. Like I was like, oh, this is it. This is my first game of football because I didn't watch any of the games the previous weekend in courtesy finger round, and so
The dump button.
I was like, oh, is this it? This is the first game. I'm like, I've got an aching face, and I'm watching this horrible game of football. But the young kid, Lawler, the number one draft choice, Sam Lawler, he was just starting to do a couple of, he has a lot of time with the ball, and he was doing a lot of like really cheeky look away handballs in packs that were going to people in better positions. You were like, ooh, this is fun to watch. Like, just when you see somebody, you're like, oh yeah, you played it at like a Nick Dacos level.
Yeah.
You're going to be one of those kids who comes in and just looks like
he's something you've never seen before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can do all the things that you guys have been doing, but I've also been working on a new trick.
Yeah. It just turns invisible. Oh, fuck. Wow, we're up to that point now? We've evolved.
Right. How can somebody be better in their debut season than Nick Dacos? Sam Lawler's learned how to become invisible. He's been working with a football coach and a magician for the last 12 months.
He's got his skin folds down and his close-up magic sorted. He's real good.
Yeah. I mean, he's good with his hands. And what I mean by, is this your card? Is this your card in a pack? Is this your card? But he was just starting to do a few of those things that I thought, you know what? You only get to see someone who is going to be a future legend of the game, if everything goes well. You only get to see them play their first game once. And here I am. I've got nothing else to do. Just lay on the couch and enjoy it for as well as this kid is playing in his first game. That's fine. That's all I need to do with my night. I can watch Sam Lawler do some little things, and in 10 years' time, when he's one of the greatest, footballers / magicians that are in the game, and then suddenly everybody who's in the draft has got a magic act as well as like a football act. As long as I'll be able to say I watched his first game, and that was my only level of interest. And then just bit by bit, Richmond just started kicking goals, and they would just kick. It wasn't like they were making a comeback. It was more like, isn't it nice that they've managed to get a goal? But there was never a point where you thought, oh, they're going to beat Carlton. Carlton was so far in front, and it looked like they were going to beat them by so much. But just bit by bit, if you just keep kicking goals in a row and the other team doesn't kick any goals, it turns out that just out of the blue, you almost catch up with them.
Searing analysis of Will Anderson.
But that's how it felt. It felt like there was a point. It was almost like Richmond came back in the game by not letting Carlton know that they were staging a comeback, if that makes sense.
It's kind of the Shawshank Redemption of it all. They were just filling their pockets with dirt and just shaking it out of their pants in the yard.
Just every now and again, they'd just shake a little goal into the goal square out of their pants. And you'd be like, there's nothing to worry about, though. We're still way ahead.
Yes.
Like, they can't be. How many goals can they be shaking out of their leg in that goal square?
For a man like Sam Lawler, he could be very patient.
Well, he decided as a young kid to get busy living or get busy dying, because he decided, you know what, this is my first game of AFL, and maybe I am already the best player in my team. So maybe it's my responsibility to help absolutely turn this game on its head. And it was just when he started to really, it was contagious. Like De Koning for Carlton has gone up. He's a superstar now, De Koning. But Nank, the battle between the two of them with this like emerging, beautiful, like gazelle-like superstar De Koning, and then just Nank, just old, battered.
Nank the tank.
Nank the tank, just all elbows and awkwardness and determination and courage and team spirit and heart. It was such a great battle between the two of them. And you just started to go, hang on, is there a chance that, but even when I messaged you, they were still like a goal
10
or
points
two down. I was still just a bit more like, you should watch this. This is pretty great. I
Yeah.
wasn't really necessarily thinking that Carlton would even lose from there.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of the same mind because I was watching it and I was like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
But at some point, I expected that, well, they're young. They'll run out of puff last quarter. You know, Cripps will stand up. You know, McKay will take
Cripps
him.
had been great early. He'd been their best player by a mile.
He looked exhausted into the game. Like, it's hard carrying 17 people on your back.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just that. You know, he played second ruck.
Yes.
So when DeConey wasn't rucking, Cripps was rucking. You know who they should have got to ruck? Anyone else in the team.
Yeah, maybe maybe the guy who's 6'8" in the forward line who hasn't touched the ball. Maybe he should go into the ruck.
Get him out of a go. Or I don't know, strap two of the little ones together who are not doing anything. Just get one of the little ones on another guy's shoulders and let them ruck.
But my take on the game was, so that was fun. And then when you take in the whole context of what's going on, it's, this is funny. Because no one expected this. Like, will Richmond win a game for the year was the discussion going into this.
Are they one of the worst teams that have ever been fielded in the history of the AFL?
And so when they hit the front, and it was so exciting, and like, you know, even, you know, that kid who did the backflip and stuff at the end, like, what is this? Like, it was a fun game, but it was also a funny game. And I don't think I've ever had that experience watching footy before. I'm like, this is make me both like delighted and laughing, but also just like so engaged with what's going on. It just stimulated. If you're a footy fan, it should have stimulated every part of your brain. Obviously, Carlton fans excluded, but it was just everything that you love.
They've never done it again since because of what happened, but there was a period of time where in the one-day competition in Australia, we would field an Australian team and an Australian A team. And the Australian A team were, like, you know, on paper going into the game, the next best 11 players. You know, that's how you pick the teams, right? They clearly are the next, so they shouldn't on paper ever beat the first side. But when they did, the audience just gets behind it because it's funny. It's funny to see people who should not be winning win, like particularly and Carlton. I mean, I'm so sorry. Like, I do understand that there are friends of ours and people that we know and love that have genuine trauma around following Carlton as a football team, and I know it's not, their fault that their team absolutely deserves this because they were corrupt and rigged the system for all those years, and this is karmic payback for the fact that they didn't deserve the premierships they got in the first place. But we're not those people, so we can enjoy it.
Yes. I mean, it's funny. We in that text exchange on Thursday night, you know, we were saying it's like, wasn't that amazing? Like, it's weird. It's like Carlton are Richmond now, and then we were like, it was very Richmondy, but. Because of all the success that Richmond have had, is this reverse Richmondy? So it used to be losing in funny and unexpected circumstances. Will Richmond...
From a position where you would win, when you were expected to win. But I think Richmondy, at its heart, has always been that Richmond would produce the least obvious answer.
That's what
whatever it was that you expected, the opposite would happen.
The complete opposite would happen.
And so I would argue this is one of the more Richmondy results that we have seen in the history of Richmondy. The fact that they went into this game with no one expecting to win, and then the manner in which they won, and that backflip was like, you know, when you're talking about laughing, everyone laughed. Like everyone laughed. The commentators laughed. Like, I've seen footage of, like, everyone put out their social clips of, you know, when they called it, and everyone was just laughing. They were all just laughing in the boxes, enjoying what was happening.
Well, it's funny, Will. I had a very weird Thursday night. So after I watched the game, caught up on the highlights, I was like, I want to just hear, and this was not with any ill intent, but I just was curious to know what Carlton fans are saying about that. Like, what do you, and
you couldn't wait until, because the problem is that Jared's not on SEN on a Friday, so you can't hear them ringing in to tell him.
But it's 2025, Will. Like, every team has 4 or 5 like YouTube channels, like, you know, dedicated to their club. And there's a really good one. I actually want to give this guy a shout out because I watch his stuff a lot. He's a Carlton supporter, but he's just like a general interest in football. It's called Blue Abroad. And
I've heard Like I've heard independently, I've never seen that, but I've heard from other people that it's really great.
Yeah, it's really great. And he, I'm sorry, I can't remember the host's name, but he's got this very calm manner. And he's a Carlton supporter, he's a Blues supporter, but he's also very honest about his club. And so he was hosting fan cams, and I just intended to kind of just dip in and just get a sense of where it was at. And because
what's a fan cam?
It's talk back, but on video. So people will literally sort of dial video into his show, and they'll talk about it. So it's like talk back, but video on YouTube.
But he's like, okay. Yeah,
so he's there in his studio, and then people are calling from, like, some were coming home from the game, some were at home on their couch or whatever.
Oh.
And what I was expecting was like this rage, but what it was actually quite a beautiful self-help session or counseling session.
Oh yeah.
And so I've just clipped up a few of my favorites.
Okay.
This first guy, you talked about everyone loving the backflip. Not everyone loved the backflip. Here we go.
I love this bloke, seriously. But the thing he said pre-season, we're in no rush. Harry fucking Mackay, when you go home tonight, look in the fucking mirror and tell yourself if we're in no rush now. Because you just got towed by a bunch of 18-year-olds. Bro, you got blokes Fortnite emoting in the middle of the fucking G doing somersaults, bro. They're Fortnite emoting on us.
Backflips at the MCG.
These blokes Fortnite emoting on us, bro. Fucking deep it, bro.
Now Fortnite emoting.
I am so old. I was like, what does Fortnite emoting mean? And dude, it took me half an hour of research to work out what. It's the little dance celebration, right?
So Fortnite emoting, that's the ultimate of this generation's insult, is to Fortnite emote in somebody's face.
Yeah, totally. So then another guy came on, and again, like, he was really eloquent and quite sort of philosophical. There was a lot of laughter. And it was at this point that I was like, fuck, I've always had this thing in my head about Carlton supporters, that they're this kind of snobby, privileged, support a corrupt team, turn a blind eye to years and years of corruption.
Yeah.
But hearing them talk, I'm like, God, you sound like St Kilda supporters, because a lot of what they were sharing was like this, how much longer do we have to put up with this? Just when you think you can trust them. But this guy, I thought, made a pretty good point about, he's talking about the game plan. Is Carlton's game plan outdated?
It's so basic. The way we play is so basic, so unimaginative, so simple. And then that's why it's so easy to stop. A bunch of children worked it out today.
A bunch of children worked it out. But, Will, in case I was getting too much schadenfreude from watching this, I stopped listening after this comment here.
I think that's it. My fear is that we're now St Kilda. That's us. How we are closer to St Kilda than we are to Richmond at this point.
That is like eavesdropping on a conversation with your friends and then finding out, like, hey, mate, it could be worse. You could be Charlie. You could be like Charlie.
People can watch the video of this on Patreon, can't they?
Yeah.
The full video of this?
Yes.
Because people have got to see this, because that was made even more amusing by not just that comment, but by the fact that it looks like it is the host of the show interviewing himself in a fake mustache and glasses.
Now, what I liked about that is I think that guy, because this was almost midnight. So this was 2 hours after the game. So I think that guy might have been tucked up in bed, and he was so angry he couldn't sleep. But it is a shocking loss, which makes you kind of, I understand it's round one and stuff, but
It's round one.
Is that it?
It's round one.
Okay, so you're not worried
Brisbane
at
lost
all.
like the first three last year, didn't they?
Yeah, but
like,
not
it's round
to
one.
a team of children.
Yeah. But I don't know. Whatever. Like, Richmond might not win another game for the season. I think this is a great result for football.
Okay.
That's what I would say. I think this result immediately makes this entire season better. Because we have the whole, like, I think Carlton, they've got better players to come back still. Yes, they've got to get a better game plan. Yes, I can see them not, but I didn't think they were going to be I don't think I really thought that. I can't remember what I said when we were doing our tips, but like I don't think I really thought that they were going to be a premiership contending team anyway. And this, made me think, yep, they're probably not going to be a premiership contending team again. But I think this is just round one. This is just a one-off. This is Richmond kids. But the great thing now is that instead of Richmond being belted in this first round and then them all not thinking they can win, they now know that they can win. They now know that if they have the right circumstances and they all put it together and they reward their effort, and those young guys are like, we do belong at this level and this is fun. Suddenly, Richmond are not that like team that we have in the competition for the entire season where you think going into every game, oh, well, that's just a gimme, you're playing Richmond. Suddenly you're like, okay, well, that's a danger game again now. And I think that for the entire season, this is the best possible result that could have happened.
So are you giving every team a mulligan in round one? So did Freo get a mulligan, Port get a mulligan, St Kilda get a mulligan?
Yeah. I don't know if St Kilda are good, though, unfortunately. Well, I think St Kilda might need a new player called Mulligan who could play at both ends.
No, I mean, I think like a 10-goal loss is about right considering like the team we fielded. Like our ruckman had never played a game before. No. Like the most combative field on the position on the field, and we put a guy who'd never played before. And you could just tell, like, it was just, this is a reserve side. But I wasn't too... And on the flip side, Adelaide have no injuries. They have like one person on the injury list and look good. Look like they've recruited really well and look big and strong. And Isaac
recruited well. All their good players played well.
Yeah, I mean their forward line is fucking monstrous. They're huge. Have you seen the size of Riley Thilthrop?
Never. We're never going to get that name right. But apart from that, he is.
What's his nickname? We'll just call him by his nickname. Thrill Seeker.
The Thrill Seeker.
Yeah,
isn't he?
Yeah, but he's gotten bigger. He looks like a fucking WWE wrestler. He's monstrous.
Yeah, like he looks like he should be saying "and my axe." Like, and I love it. I like what the energy he's bringing to the table. Rochelle looks like he's learnt the lessons of last year. Dawson is an absolute gun. Like, they had a lot of good stuff going for them. I thought Adelaide.
Yeah, I mean, there was like a sneaky chance that maybe we could sort of bring him down to our level and just turn it into a scrap. But like, I just was watching that first 2 quarters and going, this looks like what you'd expect if a AFL side took on a VFL side.
Yeah, I feel like that was the case as well.
Yeah.
Nothing about it was surprising.
No.
So maybe that one didn't feel like a...
That's right.
So St Kilda will be much better next week. It's a mulligan sort of... But I don't know yet how good Adelaide are, because Adelaide have to do that for an entire season to convince people that... Because we all know that they've had a high level of skill and that they can compete at that level. They just haven't been able to do it regularly.
I mean, I think in a weird way. So St Kilda expected loss... Yeah, sure. But at least you know what's wrong. We don't have any good or experienced players in the side. But I think if you were Fremantle or Port or Carlton, it's a bit more concerning because, did you see the Port thing coming? Fremantle, flaky Fremantle, sure. But is Ken has Ken checked out already? What's
Ken's
going on?
Well, fuck you all. Yeah,
he strikes me as that kind of old country bloke, bit of passive aggressive, non-involvement. You don't want me to fix. I know how to fix the car, but do you want my help or not? Apparently, this young bloke, this Josh Carr. I mean, his surname's Carr, so apparently he knows more about cars. Well, I can look under the hood. I know exactly what's wrong, but
I mean, I hope so. That's what I hope is happening. I don't think that is what is happening. I just think they are without a bunch of their best players, and Collingwood played last week and were ready to go. Because Port basically played like Collingwood played last week. Collingwood, remember, during the week, Nick Dacos wasn't fit or something? It's amazing how fit he got in 5 days.
Yeah.
Really, apparently you can do an entire preseason in a week because he seemed pretty fit on the weekend.
This is going to be, to date, the most infuriating year for fucking ridiculous hot takes.
Yeah.
Oh God. It almost makes me, the irony being there is more footy media than ever, but it makes me want to consume less.
Yes, because they're all talking about the same things over and over again.
They're even getting into our territory. I saw fucking Kane talking about the Fox Footy rap and like
Yeah.
wearing a backwards cap and glasses. It's like, so you be footy analysts. Let us do that.
I will accept our podcast or the footy with Broden.
Yes.
They're the only two
Junk
podcasts.
Time.
Oh yeah, Junk Time can do the rap. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, this is our area.
Yeah.
Don't come and cannibalize our area because suddenly you've got 18 football shows and you don't have enough hot takes.
Ross Lyon is an interesting chap.
Oh yeah, isn't he?
After that Tigers win,
Yes.
he was asked, did it give you any inspiration seeing like an underdog story? And this is his response.
Go as well as many people think this year. What's your message for them after seeing what Richmond did last night and how anything's possible?
Yeah, well, I watched White Lotus last night, so I'm waiting for the next episode. I'm not sure it's good as the early White Lotuses, but I'm still enjoying it. Thailand.
By the way, I would love like an at the movie style reboot with Margaret Pomerantz
And Ross
and
Lyon.
Ross Lyon. And he's just giving his little, because even just the way he said, not as good as the usual early seasons. Thailand?
Yeah, Thailand.
Just Thailand.
Is he getting more eccentric, or is he, because the team's doing worse, he's having to deflect more? Like, is this genuine eccentricity, or is he just it's just getting better at like deflecting?
Feeding the chooks. Like he's spent some time in the media and he knows if you give him something else to concentrate on, they don't pay enough attention to. I mean, it's a bit Trumpian, isn't it? Like without the malice, it's a bit more playful and goofy and whatever it is. But he is very much one of those people who's just like, I'll just give you another grab. I'll just talk about something else completely unexpected and you'll forget that you had a legitimate question to ask me in the first place. I mean, because the follow-up to that would be, what are you talking? Hang on. You're
What are
a
you
coach
talking
of a
about? Exactly.
You're a coach of a football team. Are you telling me that you did not sit down and watch that game last night and study it and take lessons out of it? Do you not want to say, yes, we are also a team in a rebuild like Richmond, but I want to say to our players, look what a group, if they are committed enough to an idea, can do to each other? Or do you say, I don't think the latest series of White Lotus is as good as the previous ones?
Well, what he's clearly saying is, don't look for have you seen who we're fielding on Sunday? Don't look for a Cinderella story.
Yeah.
Because
that's what he's been doing, isn't
that
it?
was the leading that was the
Yeah.
leading question from the journalist was, do you have a
Yes.
message to Saints fans after seeing the Richmond comeback? And I think he was like, no, don't get your hopes up.
My message is, White Lotus is worth a watch. Maybe you want to watch that.
Instead,
I don't know, on the weekend at some point.
Oh yeah, it's
Not saying exactly when, but
Sunday 12:30 sounds like a good time to whack on series 1 and 2 of White Lotus. Get up to speed. First one set in Italy, I believe. This one Thailand. But we were talking about Jared Waitley last week, and I actually heard him on 360. Not do a mea culpa, but maybe it was on SEN actually. He talked about his V reference and realizing the mistake he'd made. And so I was very
really?
Yes. He sort of said, look, I probably got out of my lane, which is what we sort of advised him to do. It's just so good. And then
do you think he's heard?
He listens to our show?
He's not that he listens, but that maybe he just hears secondhand because.
Oh, you don't think it was the deafening silence in the commentary box after he made the reference that maybe twigged him?
It's probably that, but I'm trying to include us in this narrative.
Yeah, okay, right.
So, somehow, which is this. Like, we know that he was fond of Will Anderson's Richmondy, and, came on the podcast and understands now that it wasn't. Like, so maybe he's kind of, he's like, keeps an eye on what's going on in the zeitgeist. He's not listening regularly, but, look, if we are a podcast that talks about him like being a cannibal that wants to eat Robbo and whatever, like you'd think that maybe occasionally he's probably getting an update on what the idiots at Two Guys One Cup might be saying. We're massive Jared boosters, right?
Yes.
I think in the broader football media, the kind of that look down their nose at the nerdiness of a person like Jared, that he can be a bit of a joke to some people. We both admire him greatly.
Oh, no, I think
he
he's
is a
great.
enormous benefit to the game of AFL on every level. And last week, even the mildest of criticisms was couched in so much love.
Yeah.
Like we went out of our way to say, look, we love everything that he normally does, but this is just the one thing that is outside his lane. So maybe when you've lost your, like, you know, when people who love you are saying maybe this isn't, maybe you hear about that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's like somebody saying, hey, you know, I love you. You were just a real idiot at that party the other night. And you're like, oh, you know what? Maybe I was. You
But
know?
I also think it was on me that it was hearing him out of context. It's like, I don't know, hearing like, I don't know, Tom York rap or something like that. It's like,
Okay.
oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess, I don't know if but then this week when I heard him do the Swans and when he did the Hawks and the Bombers, I was like, oh, I get it. Yeah, it's fine. I just needed to I had to hear it once. Now I've adjusted. I know what to expect. And then I could really enjoy everything he does really well.
You know what I loved is that call. I just thought I didn't think the game was particularly amazing. You know, Hawthorn, like Essendon threatened occasionally. Hawthorn really felt like they had it in the bag when after that first quarter. And then they just, Hawthorn did what I thought Carlton were going to do, which was got way ahead and then kind of just like, tread water a bit. And then every time Essendon looked like they were going to make it, Hawthorn just went, oh, no, we're just toying with you.
Yeah, it's like the older brother fighting the little brother, and you know he'll let him get in some ascendancy, and then when he wants it to be over, he just like flips him onto his back. Like it was. I mean, I wrote down a note, and this is the one thing, and this is probably going to be a common theme. I feel it's like Hawthorn are playing great footy. They're setting attendance records because that was the highest home and away attendance between those two teams, and it's only like round one.
Ever.
Winning games and having great fun.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on? Like, how do Hawthorn get to do this again so quickly? I just don't get it. I sound like one of the guys who called into Blue Abroad, but it's like, Will, they're fucking Fortnite emoting, dude. They're Fortnite emoting all the time. Like, it's confusing Fortnite emotings that I don't understand. This is a washboard thing that Ginnivan's doing, and then Marbiol's doing some kind of weird soft cobra. Like, why are they having so much fun and doing so well at it? It shouldn't work like that.
Firstly, I agree with that. You know, they are Fortnite emoting all over the place. Secondly, I maybe thought that the Wizard, I didn't see, you know, every Hawthorn game, and I thought maybe the Wizard was all big hat, you know,
no wand,
but not necessarily. I was like, yeah, he's a tiny little guy. What can he really do? And like, he kicks, a few goals and whatever, but is he really like, it takes a couple of, fancy hangers, but whatever. Like, is he really like a top line change a game? Mate, he could be like Cyril Rioli or so. Like, there was times
Tom Papley at the very least.
There was just tackles and smothers, and the minute you got the ball as a defender when he's around, you would just you just don't have any time because he is so small. He was just throwing himself onto like people, like he was like a little puppy that you get tangled up in. You're like, where'd you come from?
Yeah, round your ankles, trips you up. Yeah, totally. Yeah. I can't hate Hawthorn for some reason. No. Like I want to. I just admire them so much. Yeah. And the way they do it. Like I just don't understand it though. It's baffling to me. For someone who barracks for a club that is the complete opposite. Like it's almost like someone trying to explain quantum physics to me. Like I understand that it's a thing, but actually how it works, I don't get it.
But also, how does it work? And how can, because, there's talk about, that like there's Harley Reid talk and there's like, who knows if any of this is true.
Well, Harley Reid to Hawthorn?
Yes.
Oh, that'll happen. You're like, that will happen. Well, I mean, because why not?
But how do they do it? How do they just constantly do it? What is it? Because even watching the game, I was like, what is it? How have they done this?
They are like a Manchester United in a team in a league that prioritizes equalization. but they
Yes.
somehow are still this mega power, and I don't get it.
I mean, I just don't understand. They are good at turning lower draft picks into very good players.
Yes.
Or
Well, that's-
identifying people who have not. Like I will say, because if you look at, a bunch of their midfield or midfield adjacent people, they've got some high draft picks as well, but they've also got some, lower draft picks or rookies or whatever that are playing like they are, first round draft picks.
Yeah, and it's funny, like when St Kilda brought over like Brad Hill, Dougal Howard, Zach Jones, and we had the little sugar hitter playing finals in 2020 or whenever it was, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, but you've just imported a bunch of like mercenaries. You haven't developed your own players." But Hawthorn have done that, and it looks amazing. Like Marbiot Chol, Battle, Barras, Amon, like they're all fucking mercenaries, and like no one's like, "Oh, like Hawthorn can't develop their own talent." It's just like because it works for them.
Yeah. I mean, this analogy doesn't work quite as well in modern times, but essentially Hawthorn have been Marvel and everyone else have been DC when they try that. They're like, well, why didn't it work for us? It works so well for them. Why can't we have an Avengers?
Cats are good. Cats are good, of course. It's just, did you watch any of Bailey Smith? Is that hurt at all for you?
I mean, he was the best. He was the best player on the ground.
But like, do you like? Can you live with that now? Is there any resentment?
I mean, it was only that he actually played really well, and you were like, it would have been great for you to be playing really well for us.
Yeah.
So there was that. But no, I mean, I don't wish anyone of the players who went. He's probably the one that you like. Because McRae and Caleb Daniel and these guys, they were legends at the Bulldogs, and I think all the Bulldogs fans would have loved them to stay at the Bulldogs, but absolutely understand why they've gone to other places for better opportunities, right? So whereas like I think Bailey Smith, when you watch him play so well in Geelong, and also Geelong didn't need another guy with long blonde hair and a headband. They literally
used to have the headband. Would they give it to him when they gave him his new Guernsey? What the fuck's going on there?
Right? And I was just like, well, of course you play well here. You look like every other player on like you just, like we used to say about the Western Australian look. There is now a Geelong look, and you were just like, yeah. I mean, you look like you belong here.
It's funny too, like the one bright spot, because who knows what to make of Fremantle? Like everyone seemed quite confident about them, and I was unsure, but I'm like, oh, well, everyone else seems to think they're good, so I guess they must be good. But then, so I wasn't as surprised by what happened. I know they've won at GMHBA the last couple of times, but it didn't seem like that surprising. Knowing how good Geelong are at home and generally are as a team.
I'm always more surprised when Fremantle are good than I'm surprised that they're not good.
Yeah, them disappointing or being underwhelming is kind of more the norm.
Yeah, I'm always surprised though, like when like a last year or whatever, and you're like, oh, Fremantle are fourth or whatever, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
What is happening? That can't be true.
They played the highlights. So Murphy Reid, who's a first-year player, kicked 4 goals in the space of like 3 minutes or something.
In a quarter, yeah.
And then in the highlights package, they played, because he's a teenager, Teenage Dirtbag. And I'm like,
oh, yeah?
Okay, but that song's actually about a loser, like Teenage Dirtbag. Then I'm like, what's a more, like you got Teenage Dream, Katy Perry, Smells Like Teen Spirit, Nirvana, Youth Gone Wild by Skid Row. Like you could have picked a song that actually celebrates youth and being a teenager as opposed to Teenage Dirtbag.
I mean, to be fair, at the end of Teenage Dirtbag, and I know this is not the point of what you're saying, but they go to Iron Maiden together.
Yeah, that's right.
He ends up with the girl.
Yeah.
It's actually a story
Noelle.
her name was Noelle.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's a tale of somebody coming from teenage dirtbaggery, but to victory within the course of the song. So,
okay.
I mean, maybe the equivalent of like he was a teenage dirtbag for the first half of the game, third quarter, suddenly Noelle is like, I've got 2 tickets to Iron Maiden, baby.
Yeah, come with me Friday. Don't say maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I mean, I guess.
it would have been amazing if Bailey Smith walked towards him, took off his headband and just started singing that.
You know what they should have played? Kate
What?
Sobrano's Young Boys Are My Weakness.
The Swans media department,
Yes.
I imagine
The Sydney
by now-
Swans.
Yeah. The Sydney Swans are a good footy club. We understand that.
Yes.
But I think there are still some elements of like northern stateness. And so
yeah.
their media department, they posted a photo at the end of the game. Because, you know, like it's like the podcast mic joke. It's like, what did Essendon post that time? Not ideal. Not ideal.
Oh, yes.
So
Okay.
clubs always have to post. They don't want to aggravate the fans, but they have to say something.
They have to say something.
And so the Swans lost. So it's 2 losses in a row. And they said, we fought to the final whistle.
Oh. Yeah, okay. We fought to the final whistle.
I know one code where a game is ended by blowing a whistle 3 times.
Yeah.
And it isn't AFL.
It's not AFL. I mean, they do. Yeah.
They do blow a whistle once the final siren's gone.
Siren has gone.
Like, do you remember when Freo and St Kilda were
But
caught up in that
but I will
scandal
say-
Whistlegate?
Yeah, that's true because you do have to play it until the whistle, right?
Yeah, that's
So
right.
technically they are correct.
Yeah.
You cannot just go off the siren itself.
Yeah.
It is the siren indicates to the umpire
Yeah.
to indicate that the game has finished. So the siren itself. So technically, Charlie,
Mm.
they are correct. But you're right. The phraseology is not familiar to us.
Do you ever listen to Finey's Final Whistle on SEN?
No. No, I don't.
Do you get that joke?
Yeah,
Okay,
if it's final siren.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to other things, Will. Okay. Earlier we talked about Jared Waitley and his out of date references, and then we were joking about Dwayne Russell and his Happy Days obsession.
Oh, yeah.
Did you happen to watch Bevo's press conference?
No.
God, from the box, it almost looked like. Remember when we used to watch Happy Days, and and every now and then they'd have some odd characters in it. You know, Leather Tuscadero, who was Susie Quattro, and Pinky Tuscadero. I mean, you can't make light of this, but you remember the Malachi brothers, the Malachi Crunch? From where I was, it just looked like just a bad crash.
Oh, my God.
So, I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to be conspiracy brain about this.
Yeah.
But we talked last week about Dwayne Russell and, the Malachi Crunch. And
Yeah.
then not even a week later, Bevo brings it up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think people are listening to this show?
I mean, some people.
Having said that, we couldn't remember the name of what it was called.
No.
We said it was the something crunch.
The Malachi Crunch, I think, gets more often referenced in AFL than it does on Happy Days forums. Like, Happy Days itself, I guess it's maybe just that people are of that specific era.
Generation.
Like, you are now, that's right. These are key childhood memories from people of a certain age. But
Was I remember the episode because it was a cliffhanger. Because in the episode, the cliffhanger is Pinky Tuscadero's in the Demolition Derby and her car stalls, and the Malachi brothers are either side, or is it Fonzie? Someone's in the middle, and the Malachi brothers are either side, revving their engines, ready to do the Malachi Crunch. And this was back in the days when you had 4 channels. So, like half of Australia, if not half the world, was watching to see what happened with the Malachi brothers.
yeah, but until you've just described that, I had no idea what they were
right,
referencing,
okay.
and did not care to know.
Okay.
I did not care to ever follow it up or work out what it was about. I mean, I reckon I saw maybe a quarter of Happy Days, so like I've got the gist, but I don't have like a completist knowledge. Like I know Fonzie and hanging out in the toilet, and that he jumped a shark, and it was like Ralph Malph or something. Shoney loves Chachi, right?
Yeah.
So, but only the gist. So every time the Malachi Crunch is referenced in AFL, I'm just like, okay, well, this is a core memory for people of a certain age. What would that be? So in a generation from
Fortnite.
now, when the Bevos, so are we going to see
Bevo
this
Jr.
next generation of like coach players when they become coaches?
Yeah.
Right.
So when Sam Laylaw is coaching the Tassie
what
Devils.
What's his reference point going to be?
Thanos.
In the same way as,
or is that's probably too old already? Thanos is like 10 years old already. It's going to be something right now. Climate change.
well, no, because these are things that they watched when they were kids. So if you talk about him,
So
you've got to go
Thanos.
back to say like, 10 years ago. That's actually probably about the right age. He's like 8 or 10. He goes and sees like, the Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
And he's just like, so he's in his press conference and he'd be like, well,
Yeah, we shouldn't have lost to the Darwin Stingrays.
No.
But, you could say it's a real endgame situation.
Yeah, that's right.
And some holographic YouTuber will be like, man, that shit's so cringe. And then starts Fortnite emoting. Because that's how we communicate in the future. It's like sign language, but it's all just Fortnite emoting. I mean, to be honest, I still don't quite understand what Fortnite emoting is. How did you feel about the doggies?
Good.
That's the kind of performance you want. Like, it's hard to know how good the opposition was, though, because
they aren't great, I don't think, but they tried very hard. Like, they played, I think, really well, and I think the Bulldogs played really well, and I don't think either of the teams who played are particularly, teams that will challenge. Like, I mean, if they were the teams that both of those teams have for the rest of the season, hopefully for the Bulldogs it won't be, but if they were to be, neither of those sides would make the 8. But I was pretty happy with how both sides, because I like North too, so I was like, you know what, I'm happy to watch this game even if the Bulldogs lose. I'd be like, if North play well, and like Larky kicked 5 goals, and like like it was like I was like, oh, this is like
North
a really
your
good
second
game.
Side, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
and because we were without so many of our good players,
you sure know how to pick them, Will. Yeah, team 1 and team 2 both fucking cellar dweller losers.
Yeah, and I was like, there was low stakes, It had that idea of, I didn't expect us to win because we had so many players out. So if we were to win, then that was going to be a great result. And Ed Richards was great. I thought Libba was good. Sam Darcy looked pretty good. Norton looked okay. Like, I mean, there was lots of, Frasier, I love.
Oh,
the TV show, obviously.
I was going to say, his brother Niles, not as good.
No. So, but I mean, to see him go into the midfield and be able to like handle that, like just in his second season, that there was a lot of upside. I think Sanders played well. So it was like an entertaining game to watch, like as a Bulldogs fan. But I thought North played really well most of the time as well.
So what did you say in this game that Melbourne had it in the bag because they were 10 points up? That lead
4 points up. I said that had it in the bag because I was 4 points up.
4 points up. Okay, that lead's been cut. They think they got out to about 10 points, but it's been cut down to 2 points with 8 minutes to go. Can the Demons hold on? We say,
yes. Pay it out. Lock it in.
Definitely.
Sing the song. It's a grand old flag.
Hey, the mailbag's back open. We're back in business, baby. We've had some people writing into us. If you want to do that, you can. Just go to everyonerelax.co. There's a little contact form. You can find the 2 Guys 1 Cup form. Send us an email. While you're there, you can check out the other podcasts we do. We do another one like this every Wednesday. It's called Tofop. It's Will and I chatting about life and eating biscuits.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it, right? I was trying to think of what else we do.
It's just this, but like not as much footy chat.
Yeah, and with biscuits at the end. And then, Will, you do a fascinating interview show, I guess you'd call it, Philosophy.
Yeah, it's called Philosophy. Mostly comedians I talk to. There's a whole bunch of new episodes this year, lots of brand new guests, and I've banked a bunch of really cool episodes. So I know that there's a whole lot of good ones coming out as well. And also I'm on tour particularly if you're in Melbourne. I mean, this week is Canberra. There might be a few tickets left, but there's not many. It might also be sold out. But if you were in Melbourne, which I'm sure a lot of people who listen to this podcast probably are, I am doing the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, my improvised show, What You're Talking About, Will, at Comedy Republic. But that is almost sold out, so don't miss out. And then I've added one-off show of last year's show, Will Legitimate, at the Comedy Theatre as well.
And if you're only really a 2 Guys 1 Cup listener, but you're curious about these other podcasts, maybe the episode of Philosophy you do with Tony Wilson would be a good entry point. It's only a couple of weeks old.
Yes.
Tony is a fantastic writer, sports writer, and has a documentary
if you
out.
like sports, and it's a really fascinating chat.
All right, into the mailbag. This came in from James. He says, "Hey guys, as good a player as he is Will Day's haircut his greatest attribute? It's just so fucking sensible." I think I've seen more sensible. It is sensible, but like, I think like, doesn't Isaac Heaney have like a sensible haircut? Like Isaac Heaney's never gone long or too short. It's just like a good job interview haircut.
Yeah, I reckon he's got a slight bit more fashion than Will Day.
Okay.
Will
Well, is that
Day-
because he's better looking though? That might just be his face makes it look better.
I mean, I reckon that might be half of it.
Right.
I reckon it's about half his face that makes it look better, but I feel like over the years there's been some slight changes in style. But we haven't seen enough of Day's exposed hair form to know if this is, because he has changed it up a little bit. It's been a bit longer. Like, the one for me that I find so surprising who has had a range of looks is the Bond.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually surprised
Subtle
that the
changes.
Bond, there's different generations of the Bond. And we were talking about it like halfway through last season where we were like, oh, is Bond growing his hair back?
Yeah,
and now
yeah.
you saw him in the rooms the other night and you're like, oh yeah, he's fully grown back into that look. And I'm like, Bond never struck me as one of those guys who was going to change up his look over the seasons.
Yeah, the Bond reminds me of like sort of Tom Cruise, because Tom Cruise has had a lot of different hairstyles, but it always looks like Tom Cruise. They never overpower who he is, and I think that's Bond. Like Bond's had lots of different hairstyles, like top knots and all kinds of shit, but he always looks like Bond.
Yeah, and he does all his own stunts.
Well, your answer to that question answers this next question from April, who has written in before, is a big fan of Isaac Heaney. She says, after watching the opening round, my burning question that has given me many sleepless nights is it possible that Will Day is prettier than Isaac Heaney? But you don't think so. I don't think so. I think there's something about Isaac Heaney. They're both good-looking dudes, but Isaac Heaney's just got that, I don't know, Aryan quality. Just makes him look a slight bit more special, a bit more pretty.
Yeah, I believe pretty is the right word. Will Day looks more like...
By the way, I'm not saying that Aryans are pretty people.
Yeah, I mean, that is actually... You know what? In the past, I would have said everyone knows you're joking, but in these days...
Let's just clarify. You don't have to be Aryan to be pretty, but if you are an Aryan, you can be pretty, and that is Isaac Heaney. He's an Aryan, is what I'm saying. What am I talking about? Let's stop talking.
No, so what I will say is that Will Day looks like if I went into a high school and all the kids were in like a school uniforms, right? And I needed to find a prefect and I was just going to guess at which of the kids was a prefect, I would look at Will Day and go, I reckon he's a prefect. I can ask him.
Do you think he went to a private school? Does he have that energy?
I mean, he's got the look. I think if he went to a public school, he might have got the shit beaten out of him. Although he's a really good footballer.
He looks to me like he's the accountant, but it's a cool accounting firm. Like when you go there, it's in a warehouse. Everyone has open collars. He's got like an electric guitar hung on the wall in his office.
They're accountants for musicians and touring artists and stuff. Like, you know.
So basically like our accountants.
So, all right, here we go. Will Day.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if we can find out. Oh, so his granddad was a VFL premiership player, Robert Day. All right, so well, let's find
Maybe
out.
Port Melbourne.
I mean,
they want
you
heaps.
think it's between Hawthorn and St Kilda. Hawthorn. There you go.
By the way, while you're looking that up, 5 minutes to go, 1 point lead to the Demons.
Yeah,
Can
like
they hold on?
the
Of
song.
course they will.
So he was part of the Sandford Junior Development Program at Glenelg before transferring to West Adelaide. He went to school at Sacred Heart College, which is...
Yeah, public school, clearly.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Sacred Heart Public School.
All right. Your man, Maxi Gorn, is lining up for goal, 50 metres out, probably like a 45-degree angle.
Mm-hmm.
And he has flushed it. That is a beautiful shot for goal, punched over the line. Okay, Melbourne have a 2-point lead with 4 minutes to go.
Sing the song. Lock it in.
This
Can't
came in
lose from here.
This came in from Ash. We talked about those guys who dressed like the lizards last week.
Oh, yeah.
Of Nick Blakey.
Mm-hmm.
And I was asking you, like, how do you think they get ready? Well, Ash says, I was just listening to your opening round podcast and you talked about the guys in the lizard costumes. You posed the questions, where do they get ready? Do they take it off when leaving? I have some insight.
Okay, great.
I'm a Brisbane Lions fan and I've stuck with them all through all those awful years of failure, and my dedication did not fail. I've always gone to games wearing a full lion's mane headdress and a full face paint makeup, including whiskers.
Okay. Yeah.
If I was catching public transport, I would get ready at home and enjoy the weird looks as I made my way in.
Uh-huh.
But if I was driving, I would park there and put the face paint on in the car because I could keep everything in the car and not have to lug it around. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
There was one game I attended at the Gabba in either 2015 or 2016 against the Pies, where we played so badly we didn't even score a single point for the whole first quarter.
Yeah.
At no point did I consider taking my costume off, much to the dismay and embarrassment of the people that I went to the game with.
Yeah, I was going to say.
At the end of the game, after a complete thrashing, I walked out still dressed up with my head held high. I got pats on the back from fans from both teams. Commit to the team, commit to the costume. Side note, my brother refuses to go to games with me because of the costume.
Well, I get that too. I get both of those things. I get the commitment to going, if I'm going to wear the costume, I'm going to wear the costume. But I also get the idea that your brother's like, yeah.
Would you, if I committed to a full costume, would you go to a game with me?
What's the costume?
Oh, well, it'd have to be a Saints one. So
yeah. So what are you wearing?
Like a white sheet with a big tinsel halo, footy jumper over the white sheet, maybe some makeup. So I look more Rubenesque, like sort of rosy cheeks, glossy lips, like angelic. I've got to look perfect. I'll shave my beard so I look kind of more perfect. Maybe a blonde wig, like a Trevor Barker-esque mullet wig.
Curls,
and a harp.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I would love that. Absolutely. I would adore going out in public and seeing the looks you got like that and being circumcised. I mean, I can't wait. Let's make this happen. Can we please do that?
If the Saints finish top 4, I'll go to the first final dressed like that.
Oh, brilliant.
Ross
should play this clip to people.
This year only. You can't hold on until we make top 4 in 2042.
If the Saints make the top 4 this year, you will go to the first final in that outfit.
Yeah, dressed like a saint.
Yeah, okay.
And if people want to suggest additions to the costume, I'm more than happy to hear it.
All right. I like it, though.
I got some skin in the game now.
Yeah, good.
This next bit of mail is from April again.
Mm-hmm. She
said, I'm not a Richmond supporter, but I've already watched Thursday night's game twice because nothing says the footy has started like a bucket full of Carlton misery.
Oh.
Watching that Blue Abroad fan cam thing humanized Carlton fans for me. And I never thought I would say that.
Yeah, but wait until Monday morning when you hear them ring Jared.
Well,
wait until Monday morning.
Well, I think it's a generational thing because Blue Abroad clearly play to a younger demo.
They weren't there for the years where Carlton were the arrogant team that were the front runners, the rich club, the ones that looked down there. And again, you can't blame the members for decisions that were made at board level or presidential level, but you can, like if you're proudly celebrating premierships that you know were bought in brown paper bags, then we kind of sweep you up together in the Schadenfreude. But this next generation, they've been raised in the darkness, Charlie. They haven't seen Carlton be good. They don't have a reason to carry that Carlton arrogance with them. They've seen nothing really but disappointment in their time that they have followed the Carlton Football Club. So yeah, no, of course, I don't get any joy in there, but they're not the ones who are going to ring Jared on Monday.
But yeah, because that's a generational thing, because that'll be the older crowd, the ones who are like abusing players over the race and that kind of stuff. Little update, 54 seconds to go. Giants just kicked a goal, put themselves 2 points in front.
Exactly. Sing that song, Giants. There's a big, big sound.
53 seconds to go. Let's read one more letter and keep an eye on the clock because I want to see if the kiss of death has lasted into 2026. We're just going to pad a little bit just to see how this fucking game finishes. Okay. This last letter, kick and hope. What is it with Fox Footy? They say kick and hope all the time. Is that the only phrase they have? I don't know. That's a Fox Footy. I think everyone says that, don't they? I mean, most of the complaints I hear from Saints fans about our lack of game plan is it's always like kick and hope, kick and hope. Have you noticed it on Fox Footy a lot?
I only watch Fox Footy now.
Right.
That's what I've... That's
of course.
what I know. Yeah. That's what I know 2 rounds into the season. I will never again, if I have my own druthers, tune into Channel 7 because I like Daisy. Obviously, he's friendly with Daisy now, and I like him on the Triple M products and stuff. But there's not enough that I find compelling about that 7 coverage that would make me want to tune into it. And I love the Fox. Howie and Jared and like the whole team. I love, everything that they're doing at Fox. So I'm only going to hear it. So if it's a Fox thing, it's going to be my thing. I'm going to assume that everybody is doing whatever they're doing on Fox. So I don't know if everyone's doing it or Fox is just doing it, but I know that Fox are doing it.
Will, the sign has just blown. Giants win by 3 points over the Demons. The kiss of death has endured.
No.
Just pray if your team is playing when we're recording an early episode that we don't pick your team. Wow. Good win by the Giants though. What a unit.
Yeah.
I like this Giants team. Still picking the Dogs for the flag, though. I'm on board. Bevo's bottom boys. I like the way they started the season. Keep the Bont out for another 12 weeks, I reckon. That's the way he does
boys.
it.
The
Bonton boys. But that is 2 guys, 1 cup this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to support the show, you can. You can go to patreon.com/everyonerelax. We put up full episodes the day the episode comes out. So if you'd like to watch, and I recommend this is a good one because you can see those clips from Blue Abroad.
Yes.
And if you can't...
And check out Blue Abroad if you're a Carlton fan or a football curious person because it looks like a really fun show.
If you don't want to... Yeah, if you want to be sympathetic, if you like football as a whole and you don't want to listen to these like idiotic takes, then Blue Abroad is it's a well-balanced unit. I'm a fan of his show. Okay, but that's enough pumping up other people's shows. We really should say that. Listen to our show and watch our videos on Patreon. You've done your plugs. So that's it. Let's tip for Gold Coast and West Coast.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, that'll be helpful. This is one of those ones that Gold Coast have to win, but I guess
they won't. They won't. I can tell you right now, they're not going to win. It's in Perth, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Of course, because it's the last game on a Sunday. So, yeah, I have no doubt in my mind. A kiss of death. Here we go. No doubt in my mind that the Eagles will win this game.
See, I would say the opposite. I believe that Gold Coast will win.
Okay.
Must win.
All right. Let's see what happens. Play on, not 15.
Well.
Little footy loving dickheads, dreaming about a Premiership Cup. We love our clubs, but they never win. 2 flags in 100 years. A shit house. If you think we'll be insightful, clever, or just well researched, we're here to say that's not the case. We'll just go out and wing it. We are 2 guys, 1 cup.